watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.
Welcome to the North-South Racing League, coming to you from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, circa 2008. For Ghostfire Media, I'm Josh Laston, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Wood. Adam, how was the week?
The week's going great, man. Just had an enjoyable Easter vacation by just sitting in a house and just relaxing with the family. It's something I haven't been able to do in a while, so we were able to do that, and that's about it. How was your week?
None too bad. I'm excited to get ourselves back to racing, and especially these street stocks tonight for the Snake Hill 100. We are at what iRacing calls the Legacy Pheonix International Raceway, so I'm going to apologize in advance to everyone out there watching. I will be screwing up the corner numbers all night because I have forced myself to switch them for the modern layout with the finish line coming out of what is going to be turned to tonight. So I'm going to apologize in advance.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. You know, we went from having this is a third different layout. So they had this layout, the in-between layout where you had the dog leg with no grass, and then now where the newest one we have is where the start and finish line is no longer on the straightaway, it's in the dog leg. So there's been a lot of transition and trying to understand these tracks. So we're going back 2 iterations. We have no dog leg, we have grass everywhere in the bottom of technically now turn 1 here in this older configuration. So there's a lot has changed here for this.
So the things that we're going to have to keep an eye out on tonight is, surprisingly, the track temperature is relatively cool. So these tires aren't really going to overheat too much. But I did run some test laps, and while we won't talk about where my fastest lap would put me amongst these guys, it's a little bit loose coming out of the corners, which is relatively surprising in the street stocks.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to like that aspect of it. Not too tight of car tonight, at least on the early runs that we have here. We're looking between, what's the fuel run, 30, is it 37?
47 to 55 47 is what we are being told tonight.
We have a fuel range. We don't know exactly where we're going to fall on that range, but that's what it looks like going on for the night. So between 47 to 55 laps on fuel. Let's see, the actual race itself is going to be 100 laps. So try to push it to that 53, 54 mark if you can. If we go caution free all night long, and then you'll have, a good chance of making it to the end if there's a green-white checker.
And we'll hope that that isn't the case, but it is always a possibility. But practice is over right now. Dante Curtis was the fastest in practice. Then Jeff Bergener, Randy Nichols, Jesse Womack, and Bryan Hacker. So it is officially time for us to start qualifying. These guys are going to get their 2 laps to be as quick as possible. And the first person out on track right now is Gary Eschen, who is getting himself out of the pits. Again, it's in a different location. I'm probably even going to forget that we were at Phoenix tonight. But he's running that outside line through 3 and 4, taking the late apex to get a good, strong run and get as much speed as he possibly can down the front stretch. He's going to dive it in early, swing it out wide, flirt with the safer barriers just a little bit there, and then just launch it into 3 and 4. It's a flat turn. It feels a little bit less flat than it does in the modern iteration. But he's going to get the first lap done, and that is actually going to put him at the top of the board with a 32 flat. And it looks like no one's really going to go ahead and get too much extra speed there, as Jeff Bergener actually gets himself in. Let's go ahead and jump on board and actually go to the visor can for his second lap. This is going to be Jared Apel, who gets himself into second place. And I do have to love the throwback Marlboro helmet, and we aren't going to tell him we went on board for that.
So, I mean, I'm looking at these laps. I mean, Dante Curtis just threw down another heater. But, I mean, like, Jared Apel to Philip Martin is 1/1000th of a second. Before, I think just right before that, Gary Eschen and I think Philip Martin, I believe they were 1/1000th off. So, I mean, there's some really close times right now.
Yes, with Dante Curtis is currently sitting with a 31.94, but like you said, Jesse Womack, Jeff Bergener, Jared Apel, Philip Martin, all of them are 31.99, 31.99, 32 flat, 32 flat. Gary Eschen isn't any kind of slow behind him, as we now have Randy Nichols, who is jumping up there, takes second place with a 31.97. Like, this is as close as I have seen qualifying in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, I mean, I'm able to like kind of see the third digit there. So I mean, just looking at some of these very close times, Bryan Hacker and Jesse Womack, 0.004 of a second. Bryan Hacker was just a little bit faster that time, so he drops it down to 31.975.
So we'll actually jump on board with our current points leader, Mr. Ryan Johnson. This is going to be him coming around for his first full lap. And that was actually a 32.9. And he's just looking a little slow. It could have just been take a lap, get the tires heated up before really attacking on the second lap.
Right now, looking at other people, yeah, their second lap is definitely faster than their first lap. So he could be, just trying to keep the tires minimal wear on that first lap and not overheat it.
And that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, because he just put down a heater to qualify second with a 31.963.
Right now, the only other car that is currently running is Mr. Jeff Mathis. This is going to be his first lap. And the one thing we haven't brought up yet is the field's going to have their invert, and it's the top 8. So right now, Philip Martin is looking to be in that perfect position to get himself to the front of this race.
And Jeff Mathis blinks.
No, that is the end of qualifying.
Okay. Came out there and just a little bit too late to try to get those qualifying runs in.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. But again, those qualifying times that we were seeing as... Is it actually going to show up for me? Yeah, it helps if I actually go ahead and do it this way. So we can actually run through the qualifying results. Dante Curtis was the fastest man on track. Second was Ryan Johnson. Third, Randy Nichols. Fourth, Bryan Hacker. Fifth was Jesse Womack. Sixth, Jeff Bergener. Seventh, Jared Apel. Eighth, Philip Martin, I think.
Yep.
It just says Martin, so I'm confused.
Yep.
And ninth, Gary Eschen. 10th, Josh Nelms. 11th, Matt Dula. 12th, Will Eastman.
13th will be Dustin Shepard. 14th will be Matt Cook. 15th will be Justin Rixby. 16th, is Cody Hubbard. 17th is Jordan Madden. 18th is Jason Gordon. 19th is Adam Gable. 20th will be Shane Loveridge. 21st will be Jeff Mathis. 22nd will be Travis Hoffler. 23rd will be Devin Rogers. And 24th will be Robbie Clavey.
And as we stand, these guys are out there just getting their warm-up in. It's not like they didn't have enough practice already. But now it's time for people to go out there and assert their dominance in the pack racing, which is a little bit different of a beast. As we jump out there, as we see people getting a little friendly, and that's Jesse Womack and Jared Apel, just giving some nudges.
Good friendly task before the race.
Yeah, get it out of your system now. Because as we get ourselves up to speed and into the race, that same kind of nudge could be night ending for both of you.
We got watching Cody Hubbard. He is just drifting around the corner there. Pretty fantastic drift, I may add.
Well, now I'm a little bit behind, but again, from the practice laps that I ran, you want to get on that throttle early, but this car, it complains a little bit. So it's that wonderful balancing act that some of the bigger cars tend to be more known for. It's a lot of fun to get to run it in the street stocks and have to worry about that throttle control.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to worry about that all night long here. Like you said, the car is a little bit loose here, and you want to keep up that momentum, so you want to get back on the throttle as early as possible. But, I mean, it comes at a cost. Can you kind of feather the throttle to get off the corner to build up the most, or build up and keep the same momentum? Or do you do a light switch and just loop it around by accident?
Like we just got to see.
Yep.
And it's always that battle because you'll always feel the rear tires aren't complaining too much. They aren't complaining too much. And then just that little bit extra takes and just sends you around and you're in trouble. But while we have 40 seconds left of this, let's go ahead, take a quick moment as the guys apparently are taking their way into the center section a little bit to do some damage, because why not? we'll go ahead and hear from some of the sponsors of the North-South Racing League.
Cross Collision & Body is located in Minerva, Ohio, and specializes in returning your car back to its pre-accident condition. They work with all insurance companies to fix your car the correct way. For scheduling and questions, please visit their Facebook page or call the shop at 330-868-6011. J&G Hardwood Flooring is a small family-owned business which started in 2005, located in Christiana, Tennessee, and serves all of Middle Tennessee. Owners Josh and Brandon Klaczynski have a combined 35 years of experience to serve all of your flooring needs, from new construction, remodels, or even small repairs. For estimates and scheduling, call 615-904-2218.
And we are back, ready to get this race moving. 100 laps of this 1 mile, well, behemoth for these cars. It's going to be fast. We should see a lot of side-by-side racing. Throughout practice, some guys were working to get some rubber on that upper line. I'm hoping to be able to see a lot of side-by-side battles tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was going to be good. I watched them do about a 3-wide battle for quite a few laps here, so I think you're going to be able to see that happen a little bit more tonight. We have only one race to go after this, and the points race kind of got shaken up at the end of last week. We can't can't call a winner yet, but anything can happen in these next 2 races. Ryan Johnson has a 36-point lead right now over Dante Curtis, but if Ryan Johnson has 1 or 2 bad nights, Dante's right back in there.
We have 2 after tonight, by the way.
2?
Yes, next week is 5 flags, and then we close out with a showdown event at Langley.
Oh, my bad. I thought I got my weeks confused.
No, tonight is the big track, and we get smaller as we close out the season. To where I won't lie, Langley holds a soft spot in my heart because it's one of the most difficult tracks in these street stocks. It's also where my first iRacing win came from. But more than that, I love it because it's a challenge through and through. But the pace truck is off. They're approaching the restart zone. The flag is waving and we are off for 100 laps in Phoenix tonight. And Philip Martin gets a great jump on that low line. Jared Abel is going to try to hold off, but he is actually going to be completely clear in the 46. He's going to be able to dive down. Looks like the outside line is starting to form up and give themselves a little bit of a run on that outside. If they can squeeze down below line, Jeff Bergener is right where he wants to be, but it looks like that outside line really isn't going to be able to hold on to much. As Philip Martin leads the first lap of this race, Jeff Bergener, Jared Abel, and Bryan Hacker is closing in right now on that 4th position.
Yeah, we're just watching them right now. They're all stacked up side by side from second on back. They're doing what they can, making that outside work actually pretty well. We just watched Jesse Womack really close the gap there on Jared Apel, trying to give him a push coming out of the corner there. We see Jeff Bergener just get cleared right there. He takes over that second spot and is going to drop below underneath Philip Martin going into turn 1.
All right, it looks like Gary Eschen looks like it's time to throw one down on the inside of Ryan Johnson. He thinks better of it. Make sure you do not go that low line to any of these guys up on the top. You'll gain some positions. It's best for them to just work together to sure there isn't enough space for the car to get in. And just keep moving as we
his car is sliding sideways. He's trying to do everything he can to keep up with that momentum on the outside lane. I wonder if it's hurting or helping him being on the outside lane versus the bottom there. Whereas we saw just right there, he definitely just lost it. I think he might have gave him a love tap there. Gary Eschen stuffed that hole really quickly. He saw opening and dropped down below. He couldn't keep it though. Ryan Johnson was able to use a little bit of momentum in that middle lane that he did to pull off the corner just a little bit better than when now we're seeing Philip Martin slowly fall backwards there. Three wide. Whew. We going in the corner there, we saw Dante Curtis, Jared Haple, and I believe it was Randy Nichols right there. They are going three wide. One of them backed out right before corner entry. Ooh. Yeah, I'm watching, and Ryan Johnson just slides up twice now and gets into the side of Bryan Hacker by accident. Hear the radio communications. Yeah, that bottom lane is getting a little bit loose. You're trying to carry as much speed as you can, and it's getting these guys a little bit loose, and then they just come off their line ever so much, and they kind of tap the guy on the outside. Ooh, got a caution.
It looks like that was Philip Martin. There was that little nudge. We saw that one. And now, just trying to hang on to whatever positions he possibly can. Ends up going for a spin coming out of turn 4.
Oh man, that last hit could have been avoided big time.
It looks like Jesse Womack was caught up in that. Oh, just as Dante Curtis was trying to avoid them. Everything going on. Ends up just getting himself a little bit involved in that. Just goes for a spin.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Curtis apologized over the radio. He was just trying to avoid Philip Martin. He did not realize that he was on the outside right there, and just got into him. So yeah, you see a wreck in front of you, you make a little bit of a reaction right there. When it does, it just accidentally get into somebody else that you didn't know that was there.
And we're seeing the standard for Pheonix. If there's a caution, you're getting tires.
Oh man, yeah, I mean it's early in the race too. I mean you guys can't, these guys can't make it to the end from here, so they're gonna have to come in at least one more time. So, it's better than staying out there. And we got 14 laps on it. It's pretty good wear for here at Pheonix. So Yeah, right move for everybody.
As it looks like Will Eastman decided to go ahead and stay out. He's probably banking on the fact that it wasn't the wear on the tires, it was just the heat. So, you know what? I won't say I blame him.
I mean, who knows what Will Eastman was doing back there? Was he just running slower laps, maintaining his tires, conserving a little bit and until later in the run because having to start at the rear, or was he actually trying to drive through the field and overheated his tires and just hoping that this pit stop will just heat cycle him and be able to bounce back and maybe lose maybe 5-6 spots here on a restart, but capitalize on this.
And again, these are the kinds of risks that you're going to need to take, as Randy Nichols actually ends up being the fastest man on pit road and comes out in second place tonight. And that was a fantastic time. He was a solid second faster in pit road, and I'm trying to figure out how it could be only 1 second, other than he just nailed the stop.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes iRacing, if you park where your car is completely lined up perfectly in that pit stall, you'll have a fantastic pit stop. I don't know the science behind it, but sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, then I will say most of the time for me it's a miracle. But
I've had it go both ways. I've had it where you get that stop where it's like, why did I stay in there a second later? And I think just a couple weeks ago, I was able to make up 3 spots on a pit stop, and I didn't do anything extra or out of the norm. So, sometimes iRacing gives you the goodies, and sometimes it takes it away.
And I will say that it is not a merciful God when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the lights on the pace truck are off. Will Eastman will be leading us to the green flag, and he's in the right position. He's going to be starting low. They aren't going to quite be up to speed for that outside lane to truly be able to have a massive advantage. But the question is he going to go as soon as that truck drops below the line?
We have extended it by a lap, so we're going to go around one more again.
Of course, as I'm building up to the start, they decide to do that.
Yeah, they never gave out the EOL for it, I believe, so they're trying to figure out who the EOL belongs to, so they extended it out one more time.
Well, at least they're working to get everything corrected. But one thing that this will do is this extra lap, I don't think anybody is going to have to do any kind of fuel savings after this caution. Well, actually, Will Eastman's the only one that didn't pit there. I would assume everybody topped off as they came in because the amount of fuel used, they're already going to be within the window of it's going to be 1 can and just enough to take for the tires. As we are waiting on that pace truck to dive down below the line, it is off and we're green flag racing. Will Eastman gets himself a great jump and followed quickly by Ryan Johnson. Will Eastman decides to go up onto that top line, but the low line is going to be where everybody wants to be. And Randy Nichols and Ryan Johnson are going to go side by side going through the dog leg. And Ryan Johnson actually slots himself into 3rd place behind Randy Nichols. I'm somewhat surprised that he wouldn't try to fight at least a little bit longer, maybe just for a lap.
You got to balance it. Do you want to wear your tires out and fight? Or do you want to try and conserve your tires as much as possible and just get a natural runs on them like they're doing, and hopefully try to run them down in a longer fuel run here?
As I'm going to jump back in the field, as right now we've got Gary Eschen, but, well, caution's out. So let's go ahead and see what happens. It looks like Jeff Mathis is this just a self-spin? Yeah, that's just getting loose, coming out. And I mean, I know I've seen some seriously strange cautions from iRacing, but that doesn't seem like that should have been something that we got a flag for. But that's ultimately going to bring us back under caution. And
I mean, I'm going to commend him. His car was about to go back up the track, and he yanked the wheel to the left and stomped on the brakes so hard it turned the car back down south and stayed away from the traffic. So I'm going to have to give him kudos for that. That was a great wreck avoidance right there on him. Good driver awareness of what your car is doing to get that thing slowed down and out of traffic.
And we see Will Eastman go ahead and dive down. Randy Nichols is going to inherit the lead of this race. Ryan Johnson in second. Jeff Bergener in third. But at the end of the day, you did really nail it with that one. Jeff Mathis, in my personal opinion, that shouldn't have been a caution. But Jeff is actually very lucky that there was no damage. He did actually end up getting the advantage of being able to catch up to the pack, keep things moving. But he's up 2 spots still at this point.
So I don't get Will Eastman's strategy here. He stayed out, what, an extra 3 laps here, 4 laps before going back in. I mean, the leaders were on his bumper, but, you know, the second place, third place, they were on his bumper, but they didn't get by him in that quick of a time. I don't see why he would pit. Either way, it's a one-stop race for everybody from this point on. Now he's back at the back of the pack. I don't see this pit strategy working.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you specifically, but he was probably banking on the fact that I would assume the tires will equalize relatively quickly. So if he could hold on to a top 5 for 5 laps, he's golden. But the quick caution made it to where that's not going to be the case. So he's going to come in, work to fight back up, and now just keep going. But also with that extra few laps of fuel that he was able to get right there in comparison to everyone else, that may actually be the key if we do come down to green-white checker territory.
Yeah, we'll have to try and see how this works. But right now, Randy Nichols is in the lead, right behind the pace truck as it's about to pull off, and we're about to go back green.
And Randy Nichols takes that inside line just to where he can get that fantastic run down into one. He's got a little bit of an advantage. He goes early and gets himself completely clear of Ryan Johnson on that outside. Jeff Bergener is gonna get himself right up there and fighting for that second place position. He's got the inside line. Doesn't quite have the speed to where Ryan Johnson's gonna go ahead and get himself a little bit closer, but he is going to try to fight along the outside. We're seeing Matt Dula fighting along the inside of Jared Apel, and Gary Eschen in 6th now has his nose down below, and he's going to have to check up for that inside line, and that's going to give Jared Apel the opportunity to hold on to 5th, if only for a moment, as the inside line is fighting hard, trying to get themselves up and around, and there's Dante Curtis entering the fray. He's currently in 8th. He really has not been able to improve over where he started the race tonight, but Gary Eschen, he is doing everything he can to try to get himself in front of Matt Dula, and that almost ended badly.
I just saw like just a leap from him, like he just accelerated in the middle of that corner, ensuring that Jared Apel would not get down after Matt Dula cleared him, and to ensure that his car stayed there. And it looked to be disastrous, as we see these cars floating up in the center of the corner there off of 3, off of 4 there. These guys are just floating up in the center on the bottom groove. It's flirting with disasters. We see Gary Eschen dive underneath Matt Dula there. He hasn't actually got to his quarter panel until right about now. But Gary Eschen's doing his best to try to weave through this traffic.
And the other person we're seeing is Dante Curtis. We've seen him angry drive before, and I think it's only a matter of time, because right now Bryan Hacker's joining the fray, and Jared Apel's a bit of a sitting duck, and caution is back out, and I don't know what happened here. Oh, yeah, no idea how that did not come up, but that's Jesse Womack and Jason Gordon getting themselves tied up, managed to avoid the barrels there, but not, it was only barely.
I mean, not much damage there done to there. Just gonna.
Let's just see what happens as people are going by. That wasn't the one I wanted. Let's try this. As that's right after the contact. All right, gotta cheat. Just give us a rewind. And coming into 3. Oh, Jesse Womack's just trying to do a little bit of a crossover. Jason Gordon doesn't come up, and he gives him the nudge and gives him the turn. And next wave of pit stops. And while we go ahead and watch the race coming off of pit lane, we'll go ahead and hear from another few of the sponsors for the North-South Racing League.
5 Star Realty Group is located on the Emerald Coast in beautiful Panama City, Florida. 5 Star Realty Group has years of experience in residential properties, investment opportunities, vacation rentals, and commercial properties, and looks forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Kelly's Custom Engraving is a locally owned and operated business located in Buellaville, North Carolina, specializing in custom engraving of wood, leather, glass, acrylic, and many more materials. Be sure to like and follow their Facebook page to view all of their amazing products and place your order.
And we are back, and it looks like Matt Dula missed the memo on pitting. So he's coming around on the second time, and that's not what you want to see.
I mean, we only had a few green flag laps there. If he would have pitted at like lap 19, 20 on our last caution, I mean, I think he should be fine. I mean, once again, you know, our green flag window is 47 to 55. I mean, stay out there, get those top 5. I mean, you're putting yourself at the rear. The next green flag run, if we get a full one, you're going to have to pit close to exactly where everybody else has got to pit. So, I don't know. Like, these strategies of pitting after everybody else, even if you missed it, it's still like, you know, it's still like foreign to me. Like, I would live with it.
And Adam, this is why you don't win races.
I mean,
Actually,
but
you
you're
have
putting
more than I do, but
I mean, but you put yourself at the back of the pack. I mean, and you have to drive through all these people versus staying out and maybe moving back a couple positions. And then when everybody pits a green flag pit stops, you're going to be pitting with them, and you just recovered at that point. If you had 2 or 3 green flag pit stops left, then you're kind of setting yourself kind of backwards. But I mean, technically, you only have 1 left if there's no more cautions.
well, again, I think it's one of those that we've seen in other races that you aren't really planning on pitting from the lead because, like you said, it's more of a we haven't really been out here long enough to burn up some tires. We know we've still got one more stop, just live with it. But when the entirety of the field comes in, is it worth the fight? Or are you going to end up dropping so far back that, you know what? Come on in. All right, and right now Adam Gable is going to lead us to green. He is off, and that is an amazing jump, but is he? No, he is not going to be at the mercy of that inside lane. But Will Eastman and Cody Hubert are going to be side by side. And I'm not 100% sure that Will Eastman is not going to take this as he gets a little bit of a nudge on the quarter panel from the 30. And that's going to move him up the track. The 89 is going to go ahead and try to see if maybe he can give the 30 a bit of a push. But as he tries to go to that outside line to run the full width of that corner, he thinks better of it and moves down to the low line to make sure he can get himself around the 13. But we are continuing to see a gaggle going on back here as side-by-side action continues, as we will see the 69 of Randy Nichols get himself down below Josh Nelms, and all of these guys that were up at the front as the 01 goes into the wall does a great job of keeping it in the wall so we can keep racing. But that also is going to take and start to spread out the field, as we'll just watch this as where it was side by side pretty much through the midfield. Now we're looking at only a few side by side battles. We've got Dante Curtis on the inside of Jeff Mathis. Jeff Mathis gets a little bit loose, and that opens up the door for Jared Apel. And for a small moment, we had Gary Eschen on the inside of Ryan Johnson. But these guys are making their way around the 8, who's looking a little loose right now.
Yeah, I mean, running that outside line, if you haven't really ran it, it's going to be a lot looser because you're carrying a little bit more momentum, and you want to get back to speed a little bit too soon, and it just kind of makes that rear end want to come around on him. He's doing a fantastic job of recovering, but I mean, and not spinning, but it's, you know, really taking his toll on those positions, and he's dropping back, having to give up some speed.
Well, as we just sat and watched Will Eastman get a little bit loose coming out of turn 4, we had a few cars that had to check up. One of those was Dante Curtis, Jared Apel. Both had to keep from slamming into the back of the 13, but we're back to full speed and side by side right now with Jared Apel and Dante Curtis. And coming across the line, they are going to go ahead. Jared Apel gets the position, has the lower line, has quite a few cars to help push him through, but will they stick with him as long as they can get a little bit of extra momentum running the full width of the corner, going from the outside in and then back out? These guys are going to try to take advantage of that, if nothing to save the tires.
Up front, we got a pass per second here. 89 of Dustin Shepard got really loose in turn 4. Had to check up a lot. Randy Nichols checked up a little bit, but then pushed it down low coming off the corner and got underneath them. Now they're running side by side right now.
And these guys running side by side, they're slowly closing down the gap on our leader, the 91 of Adam Gable. And That's not an easy thing to do, but there's also the chance that Adam Gable right now is doing everything in his power to save his tires in case he needs to defend. And it looks like right now that time is coming as we are entering turn 3. He's going to have to pick it up because 6-9 is closing in quickly.
Yeah, Randy Nichols was able to get a good launch away from these guys and started to pull away by almost 4/10 right now. Cody Herbert was able to get by Dustin Shepard as well. So they're all closing in on Adam Gable. Randy Nichols is almost at his bumper. Now let's see what type of maneuver can he do to get Adam Gable kind of shaken up here and get below him to get past him.
And that's exactly, you just nailed exactly what he needs to be doing. He needs to not be leaving a car's width to that line. As right now, Randy Nichols is going to get his nose down below that rear bumper. Adam Gable did the right thing. Make sure that everybody can do this safely. But given that inside line, giving him any opportunity to get down below is going to spell positions lost for him, especially as this front 3, there's not enough space, as Adam Gable actually does a great job looking like he's about to try to fight back. He needs to make sure he does not leave enough space for that 30 of Cody Hubert to get much room and get down below him.
It looked like he ran the middle line there instead of the bottom line. It looked like Cody had the door open just a little bit, but just couldn't carry that momentum through the center of the corner off to stay there. So, I mean, he did a fantastic job of trying to get there. It's just that middle line gave him a little bit better run off the corner and was able to clear him. So Adam Gable will stay in second. But Cody Hubert's not going to give up. He's going to continue to fight. Dustin Shepard's right behind him. He's looking left and right. Trying to run different lines right now. I'm looking at him. He's running different lines to see what corner entry would give him the best run off. So I mean, that's what you kind of have to do. You start to get past, you got to search and try to find a little bit better line.
As we're going to jump a little bit back in the field, as we've got the possibility for 3 wide, especially with Gary Eschen, Ryan Johnson, and Dante Curtis. These guys, fantastic racers, all at a pretty even skill level. Dante Curtis, we have the 03 and the 3 side by side, barely leaving a foot between the cars. These guys could probably run around like this for the next 20 laps and still keep up pace with the group in front of him. As we see Gary Eschen, that's a brave move on the 51. We see him dip a tire down below the yellow line, but right now we've got 4 cars in the space that I try to leave only with 1.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Eschen is starting to master that very low line, very low entry to the corners. He's being able to really dive it into the corner, so to speak, but stick and not really drift up. So, I mean, he throws it in. Look how close he was able to gain on Dustin Shepard. He loses a little bit on corner exit, but if he can get his nose in on the corner entry, I mean, it kind of spells game over if he can do that for the guy on the outside.
Well, and right now we're seeing the 91 of Adam Gable. He's going to become a little bit of a problem as we see contact between the 23 and the 51. We got to see that one firsthand. And let's take a look right now. And it looks like the 23, he just washed up just a little bit in comparison to the line he was running. So I'm not 100% sure which way to put that one. But there's no denying that Gary Eschen, he had that low line figured out until that turn, really.
Yeah, I think he just drifted up just a little bit too much there. Like, I don't think there was a need for it. Like we see him accelerate just a little bit within that little field, but I don't think it was needed. I think where he was at, he was kind of boxed in. At that point, you're kind of riding until you can find the next open gap to actually get underneath him. So he gave a little bit too much and kind of floated up a little bit.
And right now, Robbie Clavey is going to be the man to stay out.
So we're at lap 49 of 55. We can make it from here on this pit stop if it goes green till the end.
And honestly, that's why I'm slightly confused. Because
so this one confuses me.
This one confuses me. Apparently, they've all confused you at some point tonight. But no, this one honestly confuses me. I do believe he was on the lead lap. So, yeah, not 100% sure. But he's not coming in. He's just looking for that lap lead.
Maybe he's hoping that caution breeds cautions, and we'll get like a 5-10 lap run, and then everybody feels like the need to come back in after staying out, and then bam, he's maybe loses 5 spots, 6 spots, falls back to 6th, and then bids on a pit cycle. Now he's in the top 10.
And again, I'm a fan of those kinds of strategies personally, and especially since we know this track, you can overheat tires, you can kill tires easily. So everybody's going to take every single caution that they possibly can to come in, grab fresh tires, and do everything everything that's within their power to make sure that they are fast after every opportunity.
Alright, so Robbie Clavey is up 23 spots from the get-go here in the leading spot. The lights are off on the track.
And that is going to give us the opportunity. Oh, as he checks up a little bit, gives Ryan Johnson a little scare.
I think he's trying to hand out the penalty there.
Guess, yeah, admin duties are a part of that, as we're seeing Gary Eschen fall back to the back of the field. Again, that was one of those that, while it was a bit of a racing incident, he was the one that washed up the track slightly, so again, one of those unfortunate things. But the pace truck is ready to peel off, and we're going racing as the 73 goes early to get himself completely clear. The 3 is going to go ahead and dive in down below, and it looks like he's going to actually be able to get completely past the 69, and he's going to challenge for the lead for the first time tonight.
Ryan Johnson's slowly been making his way to the front here. Had a fantastic pit stop. It's going to put him right there in the spot as he clears Robbie for the lead. Dante Curtis, though, is following in his footsteps right behind him, trying to get by him. They make a little bit of contact coming out of turn 4.
And a name we haven't got to talk about tonight very much, Justin Rigsby is getting himself up into that 3rd position, has the nose down below the 73. And right now, the 73 is getting a massive push from Randy Nichols, but there's only so much you can do with somebody with older tires.
Randy Nichols is looking to force it to go 3 wide. He needs to get by him. He's trapped on the outside. This is the first time you hear it all night that somebody's being trapped on the outside. They can't go anywhere by him, but there he goes. He's going to drop him. They're going to go 3 wide in the middle of the corner right there. They'll both get through there cleanly. Now Robbie's just trying to hang on or survive right now as Travis goes to the inside of him going into turn 3.
All right, I got to go ahead and go back up to the front because we're picking up right where we left off, just a few positions forward. Ryan Johnson and Dante Curtis going side by side for the lead, and that's going to open up the door for this pack behind to catch up, as Justin Rigsby is now right on the bumper of the 03. And that's going to push Ryan Johnson up a little bit on the track. And we've seen people struggle on that outside line. But these guys were showing us that it is very much possible as long as you trust the car below you.
And Dante's doing his best to try and clear Ryan, but cannot. Ryan's fighting back on the outside not to be cleared by Dante. But Dante is hoping that he can actually get a clear of him here on this corner and drift up in front of him so he can get a better entry and exit into these corners.
But Ryan Johnson's doing a fantastic job carrying the momentum coming out of turn 2. And that's all the more you really need, is to make sure that as they get up to corner entry, there's just not room to get all the way to the wall, and make sure that you can't let them do that at any point on the track. It's going to slow them down.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing right now is Dante isn't hugging that yellow line whenever he goes into the corners here. He's leaving himself about a lane so he's able to kind of diamond the corner just a little bit more. So he comes in on that kind of middle groove and then drops it low to help him get a better run off the exit.
Well, and the one thing I do have to commend is Ryan Johnson is being the bigger gentleman than he really needs to be.
Ooh, until then.
Well, yeah. And that's going to let Dante Curtis get himself completely clear. And now it's Justin Rigsby's turn to try to get himself up in front of the 3. And it almost looked like he was going to try to get himself up and underneath the 03.
Ooh. I don't know if he was 100% clear on that. It looks like he might have came across Ryan's nose there, but it was ultimately he was able to clear him there, and now he's going to try and battle at Dante Curtis.
As we are also seeing Randy Nichols, our one-time leader, is starting to get a little bit of a battle, as we actually see Bryan Hacker get himself a little bit loose going into turn 3. And
they're spinning.
And we have caution as Justin Rigsby and Ryan Johnson, they connect and ultimately bring out the yellow. Let's take a look and see what happens here. Ryan Johnson looks like he just comes in a little bit hot and ultimately just a little bit of a nudge. And I don't think there's anything dirty there other than just misjudging the approach speed.
He's just trying to capitalize off the corner there. Like, you know, he's trying to get the best run that he can coming off of it. And, you know, if he lets up right there, then, you know, he loses the run that he was having in the middle of the corner, because he gained on him, you know, probably about a tenth or so, not a tenth, but, you know, a couple of thousandths in that corner. And that's, I mean, that's huge to have that momentum coming off the corner. And he was just trying to capitalize, and, you know, that closing gap just came a little bit too quick for him.
Yeah, and it happens, but we're seeing the field make their way into pit lane as we have two people end up staying on out. That is Jesse Womack and Philip Martin. We have a few more bodies that are staying out, but that is ultimately because they are lapped down. But Dante Curtis is going to lead them off of pit road. And the two that are staying out, 12 lap older tires.
Yeah, it looks like they did a 2-tire stop, 11-second pit stops versus the normal about 16, 17, so.
And as we are seeing, it's getting a little bit darker. We're into the golden hour here in Phoenix. It's a cooler track, and that's ultimately going to play into the wear in these tires.
Yeah, we'll see how these guys kind of stack up, because now both rows, the front two, will both be in older tires. And we'll see how this plays out. Will Dante Curtis, starting on that bottom line on the inside, and the second row, will he be able to capitalize?
Well, are we about to see a really early 3 wide?
Yeah.
And it's looking like that 14 of Jesse Womack has seen a little action tonight, especially on that right side. There's a little crumple going on there. Has, well, both Jesse and Philip Martin, that sheet metal seen better days. But Jesse Womack's leading a few laps under caution. But with that front row both being on the older tires, like you said, is anyone really going to be able to take advantage, or are we going to have to see possibly what we'll call some dive bombs to get themselves around and clear?
Well, we're about, 37 laps to go here, so we're coming up to the closing laps. And I think, the racing is going to be picked up at this point. I think they're start to slowly find out they need to make their way to the front. The pit stops are going to be probably far and few between if yellows come out now, I believe.
Yeah, people will have to play the track position game, but we are ready to get ourselves back to racing as the pace truck is peeling off. They left a good sized gap, and the 14 gets a early jump, but that was not really fooling anyone other than, it seems, Philip Martin. Dante Curtis is right there on the bumper, but he is wedged in by those two front runners, and it looks like he's going to try to take it 3 wide coming out of turn 2. And we are probably going to end up with 3 wide on entry to 3, and this is fantastic. Dante Curtis is immediately through and past Jesse Womack, but we're seeing right now Devin Rogers trying to force Bryan Hacker out a little ways, but that's going to give Matt Dula the opportunity to get himself up there as well. And Devin Rogers coming from nowhere to get himself up into 4th place.
Yeah, Devin Rogers, I don't think he understood that Bryan Hacker was still a little bit 3 wide there. He wasn't 100% clear of Robbie there. Philip Martin, sorry, the other admin. Philip Martin, and he couldn't go up there, so he kind of rubbed him up there, up against the wall right as they cleared him. So Devin Rogers now is sitting there battling very hard against Bryan Hacker, trying to take that spot away, but Bryan is doing a heck of a job on the outside battling back.
Well, and the one thing that this battle for 3rd is gonna do, Jesse Womack on those older tires, having that battle in 2nd place, plus the bit of a draft from Dante Curtis in front of him, who could also be running a little bit of just protect the tires, even though his last lap is only a 100th off of his fastest lap, is just hanging out as we're starting to see Bryan Hacker look to see maybe if he can make that outside line work with the 12-lap fresher tires on Jesse Womack. If nothing, that's going to have him overheat those tires. But that 11 looks like it may be able to pull it off.
He's getting accustomed to running the outside line right now. He's doing a heck of a job doing it. Looks like he's about clear, and he is officially clear of Jesse Womack in that number 14 car, so he's able to clear him. And now let's see if Bryan can run down. He's got about, almost a half a second back, so we'll see. Keep eye on the lap times here, see what he can do.
He's a half a second back and ever so slightly slower after being a little bit faster on the last lap. But Jesse Womack is not going away. But let's go ahead and talk about the fact that Matt Dula just threw down the fastest lap of the race by nearly a tenth of a second. And he's working hard trying to get himself up into the conversation for a podium. And you know what? I don't know why this is somewhat surprising to me, but there's the 23 of Gary Eschen showing up in the back, looking like he's about to try to make a pass on Randy Nichols in front of him, as these guys are trying to work their way around Jesse Womack.
He's able to really capitalize on that middle ground on the corner. Everybody else looks like they have to check up, but he's able to rotate the center and still get a great run off. He's going to try and look at Randy Nichols right now, but they're all passing Jesse Womack, and that 4TT is struggling on the outside right now. Carl was sideways coming off the corners.
And that could be just a product of the age of the tires, or, and this is my guess, him murdering those tires trying to keep up with everyone. But the 69 of Randy Nichols is on the inside of Matt Dula, with Gary Eschen on the bumper, thinking about that 3 wide. Can't quite get himself there underneath that Cintas car, but I'm gonna say with only 28 laps to go, it's happening.
Yeah, Gary Eschen is going to try and push what he can. I don't know if pushing his luck right now going 3 wide is very very good for all the guys involved here, but I mean, you're running down on lap times. We got like 27 laps here to the end. You're running out of time to catch up and get to the front here, so he might make a bold move to get himself past these two.
Well, and we also have to remember that he did get the EOL for that earlier caution, so he has managed to work his way back up, as both Randy Nichols and Gary Eschen are going to get clear of Matt Dula, and it looks like also Will Eastman, just a little bit of a bobble through the turn from Matt Dula, and that's going to go ahead and close things up. But these guys, they are just seeming to be in a line. Randy Nichols and Gary Eschen, and Will Eastman as well. These 3 are just setting their sights on whatever person, getting all 3 past and moving along, because right now Devin Rogers is under a lot of pressure from Randy Nichols, ends up checking him up. But there he goes. He gets the run coming out of turn 2. And now this train is ready to just go ahead and run past the 25.
Yeah, we got, looking up here at the front, not much action going on. Just want to let the viewers know that the lead has shrunk. Bryan Hacker has cut down the lead to 0.25 of a second. So I just want to keep everybody abreast of what's happening at the front. They haven't got there yet. When we get to that, we'll go ahead and focus spin back up on them. But right now the action is with Devin Rogers, Gary Eschen, and Will Eastman. And
Matt Dula's right back on the bumper of Will Eastman. So as these 3 slowly, well, 4 slowly work their way and keep picking off that 1 car, maybe with these 3 as linked up as well as they are, they may be able to use the power of that draft to be able to close down the nearly 1 second gap up to Bryan Hacker. But you know what? I have a feeling as the laps tick away, they're going to start to get a little bit racier with one another and stop worrying about trying to catch our 2 leaders.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you're going to have to try and clear these guys and just kind of go for it. We see Gary Eschen, I mean, he just dives it in there and is able to, I understand it. He dives it in and doesn't kill his run off and is able to make these passes look spectacular.
And you know what? That's the big thing, is he has something figured out could it come back to bite him just a little bit as we get deeper into this race? Sure. But now that things are calming down a little bit here, got to get ourselves up to the front of this race with 22 laps to go. We're under 0.2 of a second as we actually see Randy Nichols get a little bit loose in the background there. And that is going to open up to about a 1.2 second gap between second place and third right now. And it's expanding.
Yeah. These guys are going to have to do something to catch up to him. Randy Nichols, he's looking too much in the rearview mirror right now instead of his windshield. He's trying to combat Gary Eschen in 23 because he's right there on the back bumper. Bryan Hacker has his sight right there on the front bumper or the back bumper of Dante Curtis and trying to find when does he have the move to make.
And yeah, these 4 cars right here, now that they've gotten clear, but that 23 is trying everything he can to get himself down below. And it gets a little bit loose coming out of turn 2. And that's going to open up the outside for Will Eastman, who's technically going to get the pass done, but I don't think he's going to be able to have the speed coming out of turn 4. And all right, gotta find that.
Oh, he's going to dive it deep. Oh, man. And does the crossover. Dante Curtis comes back for the crossover right there. Oh, man. Bryan Hacker just sent it in, cleared him, dropped it in front of him. But Dante Curtis did not so fast and did the crossover and came back and did the exact same thing that just happened to him.
Are we about to see just as Bryan Hacker gets his nose down below and caution is out? That is the last thing that he wanted to see right there because he had the run, would have been able to get completely clear. But it looks like Dustin Shepard had a little bit of an issue there, just gets loose and it just loses the battle with the barrels.
I mean, everybody around him did a fantastic job to give him room and saw what was happening. And Dustin Shepard just sliced in that little tiny area and slid right through him. And unfortunately, I ruined his night.
And it looks like he tried to get himself reset before it caused any issues. But looks like it may have rolled over and made it to where he could have driven back to the pits. But with 17 laps to go, these guys just caught the pace truck. Who's going to be the brave soul and be the first one to dive into the pits? Oh, as we see. Oh.
4 cars stayed out. Bryan Hacker, Gary Eschen, Cody Hubert, and Jared Abel.
I don't
Bryan
think
Hacker slid out at the last second.
I don't think I have ever seen that many people try to fake out in one way or another and go that way. But here's the thing. Our top 5 right now, they stayed out. That's not enough people staying out to make this gamble worth it, but you also don't know that at the time you have to make that decision. So Dante Curtis, our former leader, is gonna go ahead, restart 6th with significantly fresher tires.
The question is, will they be able to use those tires though to get through the pack? They got 6 people who've all showed speed all night long and be able to. So it's going to be hard, you know, to try and get past these people. I know they're going to defend the bottom lane as much as they can, both on corner entry and corner exit, to keep these guys at bay.
And by the time we end up back green here, there is going to be a lot of time that they're going to have to fight. We are going to go green probably with 13 laps. And it's not exactly a short time to have to defend. But hopefully this will be our final opportunity to cut to commercial. So let's go ahead and do that, hear from the last group of sponsors for the North-South Racing League, and try to take it through to the end green.
Track Time Entertainment is located in Texas and builds custom driving simulators with a personal touch. Rigs are fully customizable with color options and utilize 80/20 US extruded aluminum. These rigs offer a wide range of adjustability, as well as different options for wheels, shifters, and keyboards. The possibilities are endless. If you can dream it, Track Time Entertainment can build it for you. RC2 Race Promotions is an iRacing event planning and coordination service. If you have an idea for a special one-off money race but don't have the time to handle all the legwork, RC2RP can help. We offer event conception, planning, day-to-day operations, and race event services to cover all of your needs. We are competitively priced and offer detailed services to make sure you get the most bang for your buck. To inquire, visit us on Facebook.
And we are back just as it's time for the pace truck to peel off. We have Bryan Hacker going to lead us to green. These guys with the fresh tires are going to have their work cut out for us as the 11 takes off the second it can. But Gary Eschen was wise to it and is going to fight along that outside. And Jared Apel is getting a good run on the outside along with him. But Cody Hubrid in that 30 is doing everything he can. But right now, the 23 of Gary Eschen, despite having the same age of tires, is looking to be a fantastic car through, despite the fact that they are that much older. As we see a little bit of contact between the 3 and the 03, and that's going to bring out the caution, less from the 2 that actually got caught up in that. But somebody that just happened to be an innocent bystander in the whole process, as the 69 was looking down below the 31 and catches a little bit of the quarter panel and then gets his corner panel caught. So a spin, we're back under caution, and this is exactly what these guys with the older tires wanted to see. It's another quick caution, and this counts down a few more laps that they're going to have to defend against these new tires.
Yeah, we're going to probably go green. I'm going to say about 8 laps to go maybe. And, you know, that's 8 laps that Bryan Hacker has to do his best to do it. But I have to commend Gary Eschen. Gary Eschen timed that restart beautifully. The best restart we've seen all night from the person on the outside or the inside, depending on how the leader chose, was Gary Eschen. He did what he had to do to stay with them, and was hanging tough on the outside there.
And I don't know if he's just done a better job protecting his tires to this point, to where it just has a little bit of extra rubber on the Hoosiers. But again, he's got it enough to be able to fight. And it's a rarity in this kind of a situation. They both pitted on lap 60. They've got 30 laps. Well, yeah, there's a few that have been under caution, but they seem to be in great shape. And I think your call on the 8 laps is going to be accurate. But knowing where we are in this race, the fact that there's a bit of desperation from those guys who just pit, I actually wouldn't lie. I think we may have another caution in our future.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see. I mean, these guys are going to be fighting hard. We're on a late restart here. We got Dante Curtis, Ryan Johnson, Jared Apel. I think Jared's on older tires, and Matt Dula. All of them want to be able to use these fresh tires to the advantage. They're trying something. Dante was stuck on the outside behind Jared Apel, was not able to do it. I thought he might try, and if he had a run to go to 3 wide on the outside of whoever was in front of him, he did not. But now he's on the bottom, so now is he going to drop it low and try to get underneath Cody? And if so, if I'm Cody, I'm looking out my rearview mirror. I'm not worried about really on the front, so to speak. I'd be looking out my rear window and seeing where Dante's going and trying to block him, which is going to be the lowest line possible. That's where Dante's going to be shooting for.
Yeah, he will have to go no more than a car's width on corner exit to be able to defend that. But now, with how things shook out during that caution, it's only the front 2 rows that are really going to be a problem for these guys that pit. Ryan Johnson, yes, he's in the 3rd row, but he's on the outside. Dante Curtis getting the start on the inside. It's going to change things a little bit.
Yeah, we'll have to see where, like I said, we're going to be going green. I guess now it's going to be 7 laps to go when we go green here.
And we're prepping for the pace truck to peel off. We'll go from the blimp on this restart to be able to get as much of the field as we possibly can. There goes the pace truck, and we are ready to go. And Bryan Hacker waits ever so slightly to get himself moving, but Gary Eschen in that outside line, they are getting quite the run. But the 30 of Cody Hubert is doing exactly what he needs to do to be able to keep Dante Shepard at bay, and he gets the nose, and that is going to create our next caution. So let's go ahead and take a quick look there, and yeah, we'll get up nice and close. As just coming out of turn 2, Dante's trying to get as much of a run as he can. And yeah, that's kind of the end of it. There's not much more that can really be said there.
Yeah, I mean, Dante's doing his best right there to keep his momentum up and trying to find a spot there, being on the fresher tires, and just got a little bit too greedy there.
But the one thing I can say is, well, I gotta go back here because, well, we were looking there. Gary Eschen gets the nose in front before the caution came out. Whereas we're looking, there's ever so slightly of a lead to where timing and scoring puts him up into first. So Gary Eschen ends up with an EOL for an earlier incident in the race. Now gets to lead us to green as the leader. And this is basically going to be a green-white checker. So we're going to end up having 4 laps worth of caution. So we're going to get 1 lap before we see the white flag, and then that's it.
Yep, we're going to see how well this works out for them. Will it be another caution breeds caution, or will they be able to try to make this work? Bryan Hacker, though, will have to time it like Gary Eschen's been doing this whole entire time. Got Gary did a fantastic job, and it paid off for him. Being able to time that jump very well.
It's almost like they're teammates and working together. But no, they're not.
I mean, you want to help your teammate at that point in time, but at the same time, you know, when they're able to hang on the outside like that, you know, do you help your teammate or not? If they are teammates, you know, if your teammate's on the outside of you
No,
with
they
just a
are
handful of
not.
laps, you know, it's like one of those things. Like, do you give them that silent countdown, or do you just like, all right, it's all for one and one for me?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. All of my teammates know that basically 10 laps left. You don't get help. I want that W.
I mean, who knows? I might be a 3-2 and I go on one and just still leave you. You still have a little bit of advantage over the next guy, but who knows? I might even play games with my own teammates.
Well, it happens, but we are essentially under green-white checker conditions. However, this is not going to count as one. So we are about to head to the green flag. Gary Eschen leading us on that inside line. Bryan Hacker on the outside. Jared Apel will be starting in third with Ryan Johnson in fourth. It's anyone's race at this point, and Gary Eschen does not get all that fantastic of a jump, but the nudge that he is getting from the 51 is going to get him clear of the 11, and the 51 is going to look to get himself clear and maybe able to do it probably coming out of turn 2. He's trying to take as short of a path as he can down through the dogleg, but Gary Eschen is going to go ahead and lead us to the white flag as the 51 is trying to get a nose in there. He's getting a little squirrely, trying to get himself down below. But right now, Ryan Johnson is looking to find any kind of room he can to get himself up into the final podium position. But with the defense of that low line, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Gary Eschen is positioning that car perfectly as we're about to go 3 wide through 3 and 4. Gary Eschen gets a little below the line, but Jared Apel gets himself into second, gets a little sideways, but that's going to open up the door for Ryan Johnson, and we're about to have a photo finish. Gary Eschen takes the win, but who ended up in second?
Second place was Ryan Johnson with about 1/100th of a second, just under it. That was a very, very close finish for a second.
All right, Ryan Johnson manages to work his way back up. But the one person I do want to make sure and call out is the hard charger of the night, Mr. Robbie Clavey, up 12 position. Oh, wait, nope.
Well, no,
Sorry,
Devin
Rogers.
17 spots. Devin Rogers.
All right, let's go ahead and take a quick run through our finishing results for the night. I want to actually bring him up. Thank you. All right, our winner tonight is Gary Eschen. Second place, Ryan Johnson. Third is Jared Apel. Fourth, Bryan Hacker. Fifth, Philip Martin. Sixth, Devin Rogers. Seventh, Adam Gable. Eighth, Jesse Womack. Ninth, Will Eastman. 10th, Jeff Bergener. 11th, Matt Dula. And 12th is Robbie Clavey.
13th is going to be Dante Curtis. 14th will be Jason Gordon. 15th will be Shane Loveridge. 16th will be Justin Rigsby. 17th will be Matt Cook. 18th is Travis Hoffler. 19th will be Cody Hubbard. 20th will be Randy Nichols. 21st is Josh Snelms. 22nd is Dustin Shepard. 23rd will be Jordan Madron. And 24th is Jeff Mathis.
All right. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity and chat with our winner for the night, Mr. Gary Eschen.
User was moved
All
to your channel.
right, sir. I do have to commend you. You didn't give us anything boring tonight.
Yeah, that was I wasn't too excited to come to a track like this. I definitely prefer the short tracks but with a couple of things going on here and there, and I accidentally got into my teammate April earlier in the race, and I took the blame for that one, and having to come all the way back through this field, which is a pretty stout one at that, was it's pretty fun.
You seem to have that middle line figured out perfectly tonight. No, and no one else really was going that about a half a car width. How did it feel out there for you?
You talking about in 3 and 4?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt if I could keep it like right in the middle, I could get my drive off, and I felt like that's where I caught speed on everybody and was able to make my passes was through 3 and 4. I was just so smooth coming off of 4 where everybody else was sideways. So,
Well, I mean, to me in the booth, we're looking at you, and you like go like an extra like car length or two into the center of the corner, which normally in these type of cars would just basically kill your run off because you would dive. Most cars you would dive in the corner. Yeah, you gain them on corner entry, but your corner exit speeds are usually just terrible. But you were able to go that little extra further, but your car would also then rotate, and then you'd have the hell of a drive coming off the corner to complete the pass, or get side by side with them and still run with them. So you did a fantastic job, in my opinion, figuring that little niche out. I didn't see really anybody else making those type of little improvements throughout the race, but you.
yeah, at the beginning of the race, it was pretty tight, and I just kept taking brake out of it and taking brake out of it, and I got to a point where I'm like, man, if I just roll on this brake just a hair in the middle, and I could fire off good and wasn't really eating up the right rear at all.
No, it was one of those kinds of runs where it wasn't normal. Just getting to see you again, the incident that you had with Jared, middle of the race, that's just one of those things that it was a racing incident, but again, you guys are gentlemen and somebody takes responsibility for it. End up at the back of the pack and somehow, through a whole lot of great moves, get yourself up for the win.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I drifted up into him or if, it was just a matter of him, holding me down on the low line. And, I thought maybe I had a little bit more room. I'm not sure what happened there. So I just, I took the blame for it. But, it's pretty neat. 1, 2, and 3 this week. We're all teammates. So that's a pretty good win there.
It looked like the teammate advantage happened between you and Jared there on the restart there. You got a great jump, and Jared was able to follow through with you to get alongside of Bryan Hacker there. So, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job working together with each other there on the end. But if you go back and watch the broadcast, I commended you on your 2 restarts with Bryan Hacker. I don't know what you did, but man, you timed it just 100% perfect, which ultimately gave you the race win, in my opinion, because you were able to stay with them side by side coming out of turn 2 and just be right there on the quarter panel and just had a nose in front of them when that caution came out.
Yeah, I was on the radio with my teammates, and I'm like, man, I do not like the outside here. And they're like, dude, just let it stick and just let it go. You'll make it stick. And I'm like, I don't know. And then like the one restart, I got a little free, and luckily the caution came out, so I had another chance at it, and I was able to hit that corner perfect and get the lead before the next caution came out. So that really helped me out there.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, sometimes a little bit of luck goes a long way. It was a great run from you tonight. Happy to get to chat with you. And next week, we're off to Five Flags.
Oh yeah, and that's that's one of my favorite tracks. So hopefully we'll be talking 3 weeks in a row here.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Well, hopefully we'll see.
And then you get to go to my favorite, which is Langley.
Hey, at least the guys up at Crazy Times watching this, at least they can't make fun of me this week.
They did tell us to never call you slow again.
Oh, jeez.
But great run from you tonight. Great win. And that's a good points night to keep you solidly in the top 5.
Yeah, after a rough start to the season and finally crawling back into the top 5 where I'm pretty sure I feel like I belong in the top 3 there, but we've struggled a little bit here and there and basically just bad pit stops. But, we're going to finish the year strong, and then hopefully for next season we'll be even better.
Nope. Sounds great. Great win tonight, and possibly we'll get to chat with you again.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Yep. Enjoy.
User was moved out of your channel.
Onward to our number 2 and
User was moved to your channel.
perpetual member of our post-race interviews, Mr. Ryan Johnson. How you feeling tonight?
Well, tonight was a stressful one. Yeah, I don't know. That was a wild ride from start to finish, honestly. I was hoping we would get some more green flag runs and for people to be able to calm down, throughout the race and get some really good racing. And I mean, there was a lot of good racing overall, but I think a lot of people were just being a little too patient, myself included. I apologize to Rigsby again for turning him when we were like second and third. I didn't mean to do that. I just thought he was going faster, and I think he clipped the apron, got out of the gas, and I just got into him. But no, a good finish, another good finish. Just trying to keep it up these last couple races.
Well, and we get to go to Five Flags next week, to where we're back to your standard short tracks after basically doubling the length of most of the tracks we visit tonight. But it looks like, while, yeah, you may have had a little bit of a frustrating run, it still looked like it was fun at moments.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. I don't even really know what to say. It was good racing overall. Just ready to move on to next week.
All right, we can let you do that because we have to chat with Jared Apel. Any parting comments for the internet world?
Yeah, just got to thank all the admins at NSRL, all our sponsors, you guys for broadcasting, everybody tuning in and watching, our team After Dark. Yeah, man, just ready to get this season done with. We're leading points. We're just trying to cling and hang on, just trying to finish it out.
2 more
Well,
weeks.
two more weeks, man.
2 more. That's all we got. 2 more.
All right, it was another great run from you, and we look forward to seeing you close out the year.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
User
All
was moved
right,
out of your channel.
onward to third
User was moved
place,
to your
Mr.
channel.
Jared Apel, who it sounds like we may have interrupted him in the middle of something.
Yeah, we were talking about how they should have a league where it's Wisconsin versus everyone because I guess we're so much better.
Wisconsin.
Can
Oh,
we just
man.
call it a Midwest against everyone else?
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
true.
feel included.
Well, I mean,
Nobody wants to
Gary-
include Ohio
the
other
top-
than Midwest.
I don't know who finished fifth.
That was Philip Martin.
Yeah, so like the top 5 are all within an hour and a half of each other.
All right, so okay, yeah, maybe it is Wisconsin against the world. But great run from you tonight. We get to see a battle back from an early incident, the same as Gary, which we won't cover that, but still a strong run. You didn't have the best qualifying, but the invert gives you the fantastic position.
Yeah, usually in these the first lap is the fastest, but the new tire model has kind of changed it, and I threw down a good first lap, and then my second lap I was just kind of didn't really put any effort, I guess, into it, and I just didn't qualify that well.
But it was a good run, and we got to see you battle back after an incident. What
Yeah, it
was
was fun.
going through your mind as you and Gary got that last restart?
Well, he gave me a countdown since we were kind of, running with each other. So he counted it down, and when I thought he was gonna go, I went and I just pushed him and was trying to get as far ahead as possible so I could get up in a second.
I got you, man. Man, you did a fantastic job all night. You put yourself in the right spot there. You threaded the needle with Bryan Hacker to take that third spot away from him. Great battle all the way to the end, and just barely squeaked that out, man. Congratulations of coming home third tonight. Good points night for you.
Yeah, it was a good points night. I haven't really been racing for points since I had to miss so many weeks this season, but we'll finish off the last 2 weeks and, think about next season, what we're going to do.
No, sounds good. Congratulations. We will catch you next week for some Five Flags action.
Sounds good.
All right, enjoy, sir.
See you guys. Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
All right, that is gonna do it for us tonight on Ghostfire Media. Make sure and catch us next week. We've got 2 more weeks before we crown a winner. But not to take anything away from Gary Eschen, who had a fantastic run tonight. But thank you mostly to our sponsors for the North-South Racing League: Cross Collision and Body, J&G Hardwood Flooring, 5 Star Realty Group, Kelly's Custom Engraving, Track Time Entertainment, Nelms Racing, and RC2 Race Promotions. Catch us next week at Five Flags. We're heading down to Florida. But have yourselves a good week. I'm Josh Laston. That's Adam Wood. We will catch you once again.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.